Hey guys. Man, oh, where's my hat? Where is my. Oh, there it is. I need it. I need it. It's important. I love America. And I say that for one reason specifically. The point is, when you start believing my nonsense, you'll understand the younger something is, the less corrupt it is. Um, I don't care what you're talking about religion, business, um, our lives. I mean, think about a child. They're, they're born precious, and then we corrupt them. Well, a nation is born precious, and then we corrupt it. Something like America had to be born out of greatness because it's been so prosperous. You can't have one without the other. So I say I love America. I love America because they wrote the greatest document in the history of the planet. Like my buddy Gene said, time is an illusion. I promise you that. Any emotion that you have in a moment from your whole life, you have access to. Forever and always. And the stronger the emotion, the more you feel it. So, I mean, if you had a happy wedding day, remember it. If you had an angry wedding day, remember it. But the point is to celebrate it if it was happy and let it go if it wasn't. Because you're carrying around the anger. You're electrically charged, carrying around an anger emotion. And the angrier you are, the more energy you're carrying. And trauma is when you short circuit it. This video is going to be way longer than 11 minutes, but it's the most important video you could ever watch in your whole life. And I want to stop here because I need to calm down and you need to calm down. So, breathing exercises are very important. I texted my dad last night. I'm trying to save him. I don't know if it'll work. I hope so. But what I noticed in a relationship, I said I was divorced twice. Plus, I have kids. The real close relationships all resemble each other. So, this is perspective. It's wisdom. It's what I learned. And this is the point. I've learned so much, I have to share it. Because that's how we're going to get better. I'll make a science fiction video next. I talk about stuff. It's fun stuff, though. It's good times. But let's do a breathing exercise. Get a little focus. I need it. You need it. And I need your in the present mind moment. Oh, and that's what I was saying. I'm sorry. See, I need focus. The body tells you what you need all the time. The body is the computer that tells you where the glitches are. Listen to it. It's its job. That's the brain's job. Really, is to warn you in the moment. And if your skin's too dry, it'll make you itchy. And if you're not cleaning your feet good, you'll get a fungus, and that kind of stuff. It's all related. That's how the brain works. But if you listen in the moment to what your body's telling you, I got a new tattoo. I'm not allowed to show you because my girl's not done yet. But it's itchy. It's itchy because it's healing, right? Well, it needs lotion. It needs moisture because the skin gets help from the moisture, right? It's important. But make sure you're using a moisturizer that doesn't have A, B, C, X, Y, Z, D in it. That's important too. And aloe can heal a lot. But when I was in a relationship, what I learned to notice, and it took a lot of classes doing this, I love school. Um, when you're arguing, psychology, psychiatrists, they tell you fight or flight. Well, there's a third one. If you break past where your body can handle, it's called freeze. I was watching an episode of Body Cam. I shouldn't laugh, but it made me laugh because I was kind of watching myself. But and I've been past everything, so I'm healed, so I don't care about it. It doesn't matter to me. But the woman police officer, uh, the man was in front, and he made it around the corner, and he noticed that there was a gunman, and he kind of ducked backwards, and the female police officer that was following him froze. And then, I'm sorry, this is I don't know who that is. Let's go. Relax. Don't get mad at me. I'm sorry. This stuff just flies from my brain. I don't make scripts or nothing, but I'm working. I'm costing one of the largest cities in the United States. It makes me so happy. The fight or flight or freeze. If you're arguing with your spouse, and understand, it escalates, right? The next time you guys can tolerate more, and the next time you can tolerate more, and it doesn't feel. You don't grasp your emotion in the moment as much. They always say a crackhead chases his first high. It's essentially your body loves the energy, right? Right? We all love high energy, but that's just kind of one of our dominant traits. Humans love energy. A lot of the animals don't care for it or are highly tuned to it, so they don't pay any attention to it. But humans, we are controlled by our energy completely. But in that moment, you get that giant emotion of anger because you're having the same exact argument you always had. With my first wife, I had a couple drunk driving, so I didn't have a license. So she had to drive me places. And I, of course, was ashamed of myself for making that terrible decision of getting two drunk drivings. And she knew I had more shame in that than anything. So once a month, as it turned out, we would fight about my car. Not being able to drive. Being a waste of space. And we would fight. And it would get worse and worse. And it was every month. But see, what happened, like I said, you escalate. So the anger gets worse and worse, right? So once a month gets worse and worse. I want to say, and you can watch my videos, the female are the special creatures. That's where we're at in this life. The females are the ones that we need to take care of. And then we'll figure it all out. So I'm not being derogatory of my first wife. I learned to forgive her. Because it was me that was ashamed. Right? If I wasn't so ashamed, she wouldn't have had that to pick at. And I shouldn't have been ashamed. Because the past is in the past. It's just a lesson. And the problem is, like I said, we're carrying around the energy of the moment. So you get a drunk driving, it's the guiltiest feeling you'll ever have in your life when those lights turn on and you know damn well you drank too much. Anyone that's ever had it happen to them knows. So it was my shame. It was my guilt. I don't know what they're running. I'm homeless living in an Airbnb. Anyway, but it's my shame and my guilt, right? That she's attacking. If I wasn't weak-minded, I could help her through her time of struggle. And lo and behold, the ones that have the most struggle are the most special creatures on the planet. And they don't know it. So the females that have the worst PMS have had more trauma than everybody else. And just understand they've had more moments that I just described because they can't control their hormones and they're feeling down and out and they got energy. And you know, our typical lives this day and age, we're so stressed out, so when they hit that time of the month, their energy isn't right. And then you spew it, right? You spew it because you want to get rid of it because it sucks, it doesn't feel good. And then there's someone like me around who has learned to beat himself up so badly that I can handle the ones that have the worst PMS. It's my lesson. It's fun. But what I've learned to accept is trauma has given me a gift, and it's clarity. I've chunked out more of my brain. I have more access to it. Someone's going to hook it up and find that out. My brain will light up more than everyone else's. Science is going to back this up. The reason being is the electrical charge of my emotions. I've just carried more and stronger ones. And you know, we'll get back to that after the breathing exercises. But what I just described is everyone's life. You struggle to get to the next checkpoint, the next benchmark. You know, when you're a kid or when you have kids, everyone's like, well, they'll be out of diapers soon, right? And you always hear from people, it's such a fun age. And they know damn well they're lying to you. Because none of the ages are fun until you love yourself. And most everyone doesn't love themselves. Even the narcissists, they don't love themselves. Because truth be told, and this is the Master Level Course on Emotions for women, when they go through their monthly thing, their job is to turn all those emotions into happiness, positivity, hope, generosity, positivity, and cheer. Somehow it has to not be anger, fear, guilt, and resentment. Because that's important. That's real important. So, we're going to do the breathing exercise now. I hope you just listen to my story because I'm trying to show you my perspective. And I feel like so many people can relate to what I just said. We struggle every month. We struggle through our lives because we're waiting for the next thing. It'll always be better when we have the next promotion. That movie Click by that Adam Sandler did, it's genuine. The more you don't experience life, the more you don't have emotions because you don't like feeling them. Guardian 364865 says that he just wants to be the old guy cussing in his whiskey, and that's what's gonna happen. Not for him because he feels emotions really good. He'll go on for a while being funny and happy. But if you're the guy, Guido, who don't want to hear shit from nobody, who's angry all the time, and I don't mean to call out one person, it was me, a year, well, December 13th, I'm describing me. I mean, seriously. So I don't mean to be critical of anybody. I'm speaking from perspective. I was angry at the world. No one was smarter than me. I didn't need to hear shit from nobody, and anybody that didn't know what I knew was an idiot. Man, what a terrible perspective that is. I lived it every day of my life without knowing it. And that's just your programming. You're born with the sins of your father, and his father, and his father, and his father. See, because at some point, somewhere in my family lineage, it could have happened 1,000 years, it could have happened 10,000 years ago. But somewhere in my family lineage, that emotion could have been available to everybody, right? You understand that's not some rocket science thing. If I grew up learning empathy, then I would have taught my kids empathy, right? But that isn't what we learn in the world around us. And we kind of learn that if it's worth taking, it's okay to take. And that ain't a thing. It's just not a thing. But, you know, it is what it is. America's still hopeful. The people here. I see you every day. We still hope for the best. And we're only 200 years old. So, that's a good thing. Even though we were born out of savagery. But we had ideals. We had amazing ideas. Because they wrote the best document in the history of the planet, just like Gene said. I mean, we don't listen to it much these days. And the almighty dollar rules. Stinks. So now that breathing exercise. There's an app you can buy that musicians use, and it's for the 4/4 scale. You don't have to buy it. I'm sorry, it's a free download. I don't know what it's called, but it ends in meter. But it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So what you want to do is breathe in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, until you feel calmness. So the next time your wife tries to start the same exact fight with you, stop, be present, understand you love that woman, understand you have explained yourself before, so don't bother, don't fight, don't run, fight or flight, avoid, sit there, breathe it in, and accept the energy from her so that you can turn it into happiness for her until she figures out how to do it for herself. I mean, I speak from experience. My first marriage ended so poorly. And then I got into another situation and I felt so much more love for this woman because I was escalating my emotions, right? My emotions, Kevin, my energy in my brain was at a certain level that I had to have that much anger still, right? But then the love always feels better because that's how much energy, like the total box of energy you can hold. There's an electrical charge to it. You can only hold so much. And once you get higher and higher and higher, you have to have more and more control. That's why ADHD is actually a gift from God. That's why they're medicated. I want to stop it. Understand the whole world's set up around us. Okay, we need that breathing exercise. Ready. In for 4. Hold for 4. Out for 4. In for 4. Hold for 4. Out for 4. You do that until you feel calmness. And if it takes 17,000 times because you're sick and tired of sticking up for yourself and the shit she's saying ain't true, so be it. That's when you'll find real happiness. Because what happens is that, how the cycle's like designed by God is right afterwards the woman is so much happier. Right? The woman's delighted for a few days. And that's when the magic happens in the relationship. and you convert the energy back to the good stuff. And then right before that happens again, here comes the bad energy, the fear of how bad it's going to hurt, the pain of actually having it. Understand that's why you hurt more before you get it than when it happens. Because the expectation is far worse than the actual event. Because you've lived through those events so many times, you can handle it, not a big deal. But if you have anxiety and stress in your life, then you'll start worrying about it. And, I know how this works. I've witnessed this several times firsthand, and I don't care what they say about this, but you'll start missing periods because you worry about it that much. And then you're giving up all your good time too, right? Because you're worried. And then you don't get to 7 days after or whatever, or 14, however you want to look at it. There's, depending on the cycle and who you are. That's how this shit works. You got 5 days of prep for it. You got 5 to 7 during it. And then the magic happens in a relationship the other time. So the couples that end up surviving either ignore the fuck out of each other, or they dump a whole bunch of love into the one side. That's why divorce rate's 50-50. Because that's a tough lesson to learn. From experience. Believe me. I've never felt so much love for somebody in all my life, but it's because I jacked up my anger for 46 years or whatever it was. Right? Then my level of love became that high too. And because I have ADHD my whole entire life, no one ever wanted to be around me. And this is something I had to get over, is resentment. Right? And this is the point. I'm not mad about it. I understand it. Because if I were in her shoes or his shoes, I would get it. If you have a child that isn't accepted by the world around you, you feel like an outcast. You feel like you got to figure a way to keep the kid isolated so that people don't judge you for how he acts because he doesn't act right. Right? I never acted right. It was always my fault. I couldn't control the energy I had. Wow, maybe this was this trauma I had left. That hurt. The world rejected me. I never felt love until December 14th. All this time. I suffered, man. I suffered. But what I want to say is you can't help but make the emotional connection. It just happens. As humans. That's the beauty of it. Is that if I share a precious moment with you, that's always my happiness. Always. And it might have been 10 seconds. Or it might be 5 minutes. But I want to leave making you smile. Because that makes me happy. And that's my happiness emotion filling up in my brain. And the more happiness stuff we got, I'm going to have to make 3 videos. The more happiness stuff we got, the easier it is to deal with all the shit in the past that you weren't paying attention to. Because you're still angry because your wife yelled at you 3 years ago, 2 months, and 1 day ago. Time is an illusion. That's what Einstein was trying to figure out. That'll be part of the science fiction one that I was working on something that's funny. Every emotion you've ever had is locked up in your brain. And you got to get it out because it doesn't belong there. The bad stuff doesn't. Keep the good stuff. That's why I'm so happy with people. Because if I can make someone smile genuinely, because we all have a real smile, and if the person smiles, you get to soak it up. And the reason I know that is I've been smiled at by somebody with more love than I've ever witnessed. Except at the time, my dumb ass would have told you she's fake. She's just doing that to get something. She just wants my ass. And it wasn't my ass, believe me. It was, what everyone tells you. Everyone convinces you of bullshit. And then you make it happen. So if everyone in my life tells me that the person I'm with, some money, wants money, then I made it happen. Nobody else. And that was locked in my brain, right? Events so catastrophic, if you stay mad, you can always be mad about the same thing. I said the Little League thing. I'm not talking about my city Little League. I'm talking about I started shit during the Little League World Series while it was on ESPN. I was being such an ass crack. And I could draw off that emotion every day because it was so strong. I could use that emotion for anything I wanted because it's always there. You always have that emotion stored in your brain. So if I got mad at my kids for the silliest of things, and I was busy working and not being present in the moment, they would get yelling like you wouldn't believe. For a short duration, snapping behavior, because I'm not present in the moment. Or I'm busy doing something I love because I don't want to be disturbed. My spirit is happy doing something, and I don't want your bullshit. So get the hell away from me. I'm enjoying myself, right? That's how we all react. Think about it. You're doing your activity where you're lizard brain, where you're turned off, not feeling. That's how it works. Your energy isn't in the moment. So you're using the energy from the past. And your spirit will pick out random where that comes from. So if I'm working and my kids are really getting out of hand because they tend to fight because no one taught them love yet. But they might getting beat up in the middle of the night at 2:30 in the morning. It's random. I don't know how it picks. But that's your storage of energy. And you get it from storing energy of just absolute dog shit. And this is why we did the breathing exercise, but I want to say this out loud because this is 100% true. It's the universal truth. The four horsemen are fear, anger, guilt, and resentment. That's the four horsemen. That's what it is. The emotions themselves. And because I'm at 30 minutes, and I know you ain't watching longer than that, I'm going to do one on the biblical sense of this stuff, and then I'm going to do one on science fiction, which is going to be fun too. I'll talk to you guys in a minute.